that's what's more fun for me.
I spent most of my life as an actor.
Mel Gibson's edginess and blunt macho charm has kept him on top for decades. Yet all the while, it was these traits that were telltale signs of a man battling with alcoholism and near suicidal depression. His career is one of the most prominent rise and fall stories in modern cinema. So where did it all begin for this multi-talented actor, producer and director? Born in America and one of an 11 children litter, it wasn't until he was 12 that his family moved to Australia. Settling in Sydney, Mel was actually forced to develop an Aussie accent after he was teased at school for his American twang. Although earlier on he considered pursuing cooking or journalism, he caught the acting bug and attended the prestigious drama college NIDA, where he became roommates with fellow actor Geoffrey Rush. After graduating, he landed a few bit roles on stage and TV, but it was his breakout role as the leather-clad post-apocalyptic warrior hero Mad Max that made him a hot rising star.
Imagine that you're early 20s, and all of a sudden you're in the star of these films, and you haven't had that up till then your whole life, and then things start to change pretty rapidly, and a lot of people try and do things to you, for their own sake, for your sake. I mean, it's a very strange game you start to play, and you're not used to it. You're a baby in the woods, and it's full of wolves. And apart from anything else, it gets to you on a personal level. I mean, it can affect your head. It can affect your opinion of yourself. You might start to believe what image has been created about you. I mean, you have to find out who you are, really, and then approach everything else from that viewpoint.
Peter Weir then cast him in Gallipoli. His powerful performance proved Mel was a serious actor and helped him land an American agent. Mad Max 2 Road Warrior was his first hit in the States, bringing him international fame, while he gained more critical acclaim for The Year of Living Dangerously. But perhaps his most well-known role was as Martin Riggs in the legendary Lethal Weapon series.
Hey, it worked! Hey, Rick, you think that bird thing really worked?
No, I just wanted to see if you'd do it.
Moving behind the camera, in 1993 he made his directorial debut in The Man Without a Face, in which he also acted. The film received critical acclaim, and Mel too was happy with his work.
I am proud of it. It's the best I could do it at the time, and it's got its faults. Every film has flaws, and this one certainly does too. But I think not that many.
In 1995, Mel took on the epic story of the kilt-wearing, sword-wielding Scottish freedom fighter William Wallace in Braveheart, my favourite Mel movie. Now, would you believe he almost turned down the role, believing he was too old for it, instead asking producers if he could direct. They compromised and said he could direct if he played William. And the move paid off, with the film picking up both Best Picture and Director Oscars.
It's very interesting to sort of go back to something primal as that in the 13th century. And, before they had blenders and toasters and telephones, and explore the reality of how life must have been and how people must have been and how their minds worked in another whole time, another whole way of thought existed back then, I'm sure. So, it's always intensely interesting, that kind of process.
A film of mammoth proportions. With a huge cast and epic fight scenes, Braveheart was a very challenging film to direct.
And there's just a lot of elements that you had to get together and bring into some kind of harmony so that you could film it and film it the way you wanted to see it.
It's a series of logistical puzzles that you have to go about solving with the help of other people with expertise, to get an image up there, which can be very difficult sometimes, but there is a pleasure in it. As you say, is there fun in it? Yeah, well, there is. I do enjoy it. Not without its moments of ripping your hair out. Nothing like a challenge to scare the hell out of you, helps you grow, I guess.
Mel thrives on the challenges and the creative freedom he receives when directing. His passion for the craft also inspires others.
Mel is just an inspiration. I theorize that after making 50 trillion movies, an actor would become somewhat calloused or dead to the process in a sense. But Mel completely proved that theory wrong. He just has such such drive and such passion for his work.
After Braveheart, Mel once again returned to focus on acting, starring in films like Conspiracy Theory and Payback. However, he found his role in Ransom, the story of a child kidnapping, especially challenging.
Well, of course, you bring a lot of baggage with you, you know. There are certain things that you're known for, that you have a forte at, so you can never escape that baggage. I mean, there's the face. You can't get away from your own face. You can't get away. You could, I mean, with prosthetics and stuff, but, you know, that's not what it's about. It's about changing the inner, you know, putting on the inner guy.
In 2000, Mel acted in 3 films that each grossed over $100 million. The Patriot, Chicken Run, and What Women Want. The latter proving Mel also had a gift for comedy. Even his co-stars agree he's a funny guy. Although on the set of Conspiracy Theory, Julia Roberts wasn't such a fan of Mel's wicked sense of humour. But can you blame her?
Yeah, I gave her a rat. But I don't know what's wrong with that. I mean, it was dead. I mean, she doesn't have to feed it or buy a cage or anything. She can just, like, leave it around.
The box office hits continued with We Were Soldiers and Signs. But Mel's biggest gamble, both financially and artistically, was The Passion of the Christ, the story of the last few hours of Jesus Christ's life. Through his agency, Icon Productions, he produced, directed, co-wrote and funded the film, spending $25 million of his own money.
As far as just directing the film, it's probably about the hardest gig I've ever done in my life. And it wasn't as big as Braveheart with all the horses and people and stuff, but it was more, there were more precise things that had to happen.
He was a brilliant mind. It's a photographic memory. He can learn things at a glance. He has a great courage in making a film like this.
Very graphic and extremely violent, the film was met with a mixed response, many regarding it as anti-Semitic, which would become an ongoing issue for Mel. Regardless, the controversial film raked in more than $600 million, becoming the 8th highest grossing movie of all time.
This is the ultimate hero story for all mankind. He suffered, died, and he still won. So, like, he came back to say, look, see, I told you I could do this. I want people to understand the reality of the story. I want them to be taken through an experience. I want them to feel.
After so much success, Mel's career hit a speed bump in 2006. He made headlines after being arrested for drink driving while partying in Malibu. And to make things worse, he was heard making anti-Semitic remarks during his arrest. He later admitted to suffering from bipolar disorder, depression, and a lifelong struggle with the bottle. He apologised for his, quote, despicable behaviour, and determined to clean up, checked himself into rehab, something he didn't find easy to do.
It's a question of balance. We all have ego. I've got a big, healthy one. It's just a matter of keeping him in abeyance, you know?
Right.
So slapping him down with a whip from time to time, because when he tends to take over, I tend to get into trouble.
During the same year, Mel separated from his wife of 28 years and the mother of his 7 children, Robin Moore. The carving up of their $1.2 billion fortune is one of the most expensive Hollywood breakups in history. 1 month later, we were all shocked when he revealed his new pregnant girlfriend, Russian musician Oksana Grigorieva. So with a new relationship and desire for a fresh start, Mel tried to put his previous misdemeanors behind him by returning to acting after an 8-year hiatus in the crime thriller The Edge of Darkness.
It's one of his best performances, and I love what he does, you know, from Braveheart and all the way through his films. You know, they're films you want to watch, you know, and it's a different performance from Mel, and it's bang on the money.
But to no one's surprise, Mel's relationship ended just 1 year later, with Oksana citing abusive behaviour from Gibson. And to make matters worse, recordings of threatening and hate-filled phone conversations between the couple were leaked on the net. This helped to diminish the public's opinion of one of Hollywood's most bankable and likeable leading men. But not everybody turned on Mel. He still had a small portion of Hollywood heavyweights in his corner. Gibson's longtime and loyal friend, Jodie Foster, claimed that his behaviour was not the man she knew and respected growing up, vowing to stand by him and his faults. So much so, she cast him as the lead in the smirkingly strange film, The Beaver.
But what I have known about him as a friend, you know, is what a deep person he is and how complex he is. And I knew that he would have a real understanding of struggle, a man struggling and who wants to change. I think that's something that Mel really understands from a personal place. And I knew that he could trust me, that he could lay himself bare and be raw, and that he could trust me, you know, that I wouldn't exploit it.
Although recently Mel's films haven't been doing so well commercially, it looks like he's taking steps in the right direction to rebuild his career. If he can learn from his mistakes and keep his personal life in check, let's hope we can see the greatness of the very talented Mel Gibson once again. Stay tuned to Star Picks for all the movies you know and the actors you love. Broadcast in high definition with 5.1 surround sound where available. For more of the best in entertainment news, check out your Movie Network channels. Find or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and mnc.tv.